Donald Trump, his surprising victory in the 2016 presidential election baffled the world on November 8th. The orange-haired real estate mogul from Queens, New York, has world leaders nervous about the future of their country's relations with the United States and world stability. World organizations such as NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and some country members of the United Nations are concerned that President-elect Donald Trump could go against long-standing traditions and international agreements. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me tonight. I am your host, Elliot Jones, and we will discuss the views and concerns of Russia and the Middle East as presented in their English language media and compare them with the elite media coverage in the United States, such as the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Chicago Tribune. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy this presentation of the Trump effect.
That while the campaign is over, our work on this movement is now really just beginning. We're going to get to work immediately for the American people. And we're going to be doing a job that hopefully you'll be so proud of your president. You'll be so proud. Again, it's my honor. It was an amazing evening. It's been an amazing 2-year period. And I love this country.
This story began back in 1987 when Trump first considered running for president. However, it was not until 2000 when Trump actually entered the presidential election and entered the race as a Reform Party candidate, in which he received 15,000 votes in the California primary. According to the Moscow Times, by NATO's count, total defense spending of all NATO members stood at about $900 billion. The United States share was about $650 billion, which is a percentage that comes out to about 72%. Balnov states that this is a fact that has NATO leaders worried about Donald Trump. Many see this as an end to the greatest alliance in history. Now, as we move forward, let us take a look at the objectives of our analysis concerning foreign and local news and the coverage of Donald Trump's victory in the 2016 election. These objectives guided us in making an educated analysis of these news stories, their narratives, and the stories behind them. First, to analyze the coverage of Donald Trump's victory and the impact it may have on foreign relations with Russia and the Middle East. Second, to discuss the main agendas emerging out of foreign newspapers' coverage in these regions in comparison to the United States media. And third, to determine if these media coverages reflect their geopolitical interests, fears, and concerns, we gathered 20 news stories. 5 of the news articles were from the Moscow Times, an English language newspaper. In addition, we also analyzed 5 news articles in the Middle East, including the Tehran Daily from Iran, the Independent from Egypt, and the Haaretz from Israel. Agenda setting theory is used to discuss how these stories influence the audience to think about certain stories by focusing on narratives perpetually. This way, media can control what people think about and how they think about it. Labeling is used to discuss the loaded language utilized by mainstream media in accordance with agenda setting theory to paint a picture which audiences cannot forget. Cultivation analysis theory is used by media to shape people's sense of reality, allowing the audience to maintain a skewed version of the world. So this theory, along with agenda setting, poses a threat to our security. It creates a controlled message of fear. These theories take root in the audience's psyche. Our news team scoured through multiple articles and watched numerous videos to uncover this. What we discovered is that a majority of countries, including our own, were completely taken aback by the victory of Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. The agenda setting function is prominent in the Middle Eastern coverage of Donald Trump's victory, which is evident in the headlines for the Iran Daily. Quote, "Violence against Muslims is up 67%. This agenda leads the audience to draw their own conclusion about the upcoming Donald Trump regime. Even though this violence has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Second, the agenda to drive up oil exports in Russia is seen with the quote from this article by Necha Perenko stating, "Trump has promised that he will impose harder sanctions on Iran in order to make a deal from strength, that Iran's oil will not hit the market, increasing the chances that the price of oil, Russia's main export, will go up." While another article claims Trump won't try to change the fact that Russia supports the Syrian president Bashar Assad, but will most likely embrace it. Articles and others like it lead the Russian people to believe that the US and Russia will amend the nearly 70-year-long tension between the two nations.
В климате в мировых делах, учитывая особую ответственность России и США за поддержание глобальной стабильности и безопасности.
And would have a positive effect on the general climate in the global affairs, taking into account the special responsibility of Russia and the US to sustain global stability and security.
Agenda setting is also seen in the Iran Daily. The weakening of the essence of democracy is obvious, Shahabi said, adding that liberalism is fading. It is a reflection of crisis, and it is not a reflection of stability and tranquility. This agenda meant to show that the Western way of doing things is incorrect, and further quiets the voices of the Middle East, intellectuals who wish to see a better form of democracy in their own countries. Cultivation analysis is also prevalent in these stories pertaining to the North Atlantic Trade Organization. This theory implies that Trump is going to shut down the doors on this organization and that the world is going to suffer tremendously. A direct quote from Donald Trump stated that NATO, who needs it? It can dissolve, and that's okay. It's not the worst thing to happen in the world. Media takes this quote and leads uninformed people to believe as though it has already happened, implying that Donald Trump has already destroyed the meaning of alliances, and this is clearly not true. These news stories turn the fact that Donald Trump wants to cut spending, while the media uses cultivation analysis to change it into the fear that the president-elect will destroy the alliance between the United States and these countries. Cultivation analysis is also seen in the Washington Post. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, whose record of imprisoning opponents and restricting speech has earned him condemnation from human rights groups. He also said that he looks forward to the presidency and hopes that it injects a new spirit of Egyptian-American relations. Burundi's controversial leader, Pierre Nkurunziza, who has been accused of directing the killing of civilians, said of Trump, "Your victory is the victory of all Americans." These quotes attach Donald Trump to many controversial leaders throughout the world, giving the implications that America has elected an authoritarian leader who will soon turn the presidency into some sort of dictatorship. Labeling is rampant across all foreign and domestic media using the term reality TV star. For example, in the Tehran Times, the billionaire real estate magnate and former reality star. Media in all regions covered in tonight's program were all stunned and shocked. For example, in the Moscow Times, scratching their heads in amazement at such a profound rejection of the political establishment by the outcome of the election. In the Washington Post, it stated, Trump's stunning victory could fundamentally transform the global order. It's funny, even in New Zealand, in the Herald, they stated, billionaire and former reality TV host Donald Trump has done the almost unimaginable. These labels manipulate the narratives and give strength to the aforementioned theories. Our research made it apparent that foreign and domestic media use agenda setting to focus audience attention on selected stories. They select what information fits the news outlet's overall objective and flood the market with such stories. We also discovered that the only difference between foreign and domestic media are the biases which the news outlets view the world. Cultivation analysis allows media to portray news stories in a skewed and fearful light, and labeling allows them to complete these agendas. It is up to us as consumers of media to look for our different viewpoints and to complete our own understanding of a large and ever-changing world. Thank you for joining me tonight on The Trump Effect. I'm Elliot Jones. Good night and goodbye.